So today's romantic painting is called Lamplight Love. Now this is an acrylic painting. So we're beginning on a grey gesso canvas, and I'm mixing various tones of grey using ultramarine blue and burnt umber. I'm using a bristle brush so that I'm able to scrub these varying tones onto the canvas. You'll also see I'm adding little touches of purple as well, or violet. Basically a really nice mottled background. I'm keeping the paint relatively thick and I'm scrubbing this over that grey gesso. Let that dry and then go in with a stronger white colour and really start to pick out some cloud shapes and cloud formations. Again, I'm keeping this nice and random. Using charcoal, I give myself a guideline for the position of the buildings, and I'm using a thin down grey and a nice flat brush to block in the shapes of the buildings. Don't worry about that charcoal, because once your acrylic's dried you can just simply use a paper towel and wipe that off. Remember to make these go smaller as you go further into the distance. I'm mixing a lighter grey now and highlighting the front side of the buildings. I'm adding the illusion of some lights in the distance using cadmium orange, cadmium yellow, and then finally just touching a little bit of white over that just to add that sparkle. I'm giving myself a guide again with the charcoal for where the river area is going to be, and I'm blocking that in with a really strong dark mix of ultramarine blue and burnt umber. Keep your strokes horizontal, and I throw in a little bit of purple here and there as well. I'm using the same horizontal stroke and adding a much lighter grey. Don't use pure white at this point because we want to be able to highlight. I'm also adding some purple area in the area what's going to become the trees. Just a little bit of shadow. I'm using a grey to add some illusions of some ripples in the water. And once that's all dried, I'm going to go back to that charcoal and give myself a guide of where I want those railings to go. Using a nice strong dart, once you're happy you can commit to the railings with the paint with a dark black acrylic. And don't worry about painting right over those charcoal lines, it really won't do any harm at all. Back to the charcoal now for the position of the lamps and the trees. Give myself a guideline there. Remember to make sure that all your paint's dry though before you actually start using the charcoal, so use a hairdryer to dry it off. You'll see now I'm blocking in those lamps just using black acrylic. I'm using cadmium orange now to scrub in some glow on the lamps and also to highlight the lamps on one side. I'll do the same on the trees as well, highlight the side facing the lamps for the trees. Now on the shadow side I'm going to use some violet and white. This is to give an illusion of a reflective light. Really is a nice way of adding some beautiful colour into your painting as well. Here you will see me scrubbing in a little bit of cadmium yellow into the centre now. I'm going a little bit brighter to get that glow. I'm also beginning to highlight the snow with some white with some cadmium orange. This is to create the illusion that the lamps are actually creating a nice orange glow in the snow. And we'll start to put a little bit of snow onto the lamps, and we'll also add some to the railings. I'm using a flat brush and I'm beginning to add some of the railing details as well, and using a little bit of the white and purple to highlight those, and a little bit of the orange as well, just to put some highlights and reflective lights on there. I'm adding yet another layer to the snow, a little bit of that purple and white on the shadow side as well, leveling my strokes in the centre. Into some titanium white, but a really bright sparkle right in the centre of those lamps. I transfer the template of my couple and blot the colours in for those. I'm using cad red on her coat and adding some shadows with some alizarin crimson, and I'm blocking the man in with some cadmium orange and some burnt umber. The handbag and the boot are done in black. I'm highlighting the umbrella with some cadmium orange and a coat, and I'm using a little bit of a reflective light with some of the purple and the white. I'm using a very thin translucent grey and glazing that on for the footprints. And now that the lamp glow is dried, I'm beginning to add those extra details using black. I've switched now to a liner brush, a rigger brush, and I'm using a thin black which has been thinned down with some water to begin adding some of the branches onto the trees. I'll be highlighting the trees with some cadmium orange, and on the reflective side I'll be adding some of that purple and white, just as we did in the lamps. We'll also be stippling on the suggestion of some snow. Add some final details and highlights, brighten up any highlights on the snow and on the umbrella, and then you can call this a finished painting. As an extra option, you could always water down some white and splatter on a few bits of snow. So here is the finished painting. The full-length version in real time is available on my website. You will also be given all the templates and tracings that you need to complete this painting. Thank you for watching.